Things are about to get edgy. Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 controversial jokes by British comedians. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at all those edgy, boundary-pushing jokes that backfired wildly and sparked outrage and controversy in the community, as well as the press. Of course, it should go without saying that the material and subject matter discussed throughout may offend some of you. You have been warned. Number 10, Blasphemy. Monty Python's Life of Brian is by far the oldest entry on this list, and a beloved comedy classic.
Hail Messiah! I'm not the Messiah. Will you please listen? I am not the Messiah. Do you understand? Honestly!
It also sparked one of the most famous cases of controversy in British film history, causing outrage amongst the Christian community.
See, not so bad. Watch your up.
The film was banned in several countries, and the Pythons were forced to justify their work. However, it all ended up being a landmark victory for freedom of speech, sparking lively debates and starting a huge trend in comedy and comedians pushing boundaries.
I'm only pulling your leg. It's a joke.
Number 9, Danny Baker's Royal Prince tweet. Sometimes it's difficult to tell when a seemingly offensive joke is just a brutal and satirical look at our world and when it's just plain offensive. This joke made by Danny Baker was deemed offensive, racist, and in very poor taste, resulting in Baker losing his job.
You want to talk to someone who doesn't have a mobile phone?
In case you don't remember, Baker tweeted a picture of a monkey, claiming it to be the offspring of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
This is the tweet that many felt was racist. A couple holding hands with a chimpanzee, captioned, "Royal baby leaves hospital."
Meghan is half black, which made the whole thing incredibly dodgy. And while many comedians stepped up to support Baker, the historically racist connotation of the joke is hard to deny.
Enormous mistake for sure, grotesque. Anyway, here's to you, Archie. Sorry, mate.
Number 8, dwarfism. You knew Jimmy Carr was going to make an appearance on here, and his most recent outrage is definitely a rather harsh and nasty piecework, even by Carr's typically edgy standards. In the joke, Carr speculated as to whether or not dwarfs were abortions that managed to survive. It left a very bad taste in many people's mouths, and as you might expect, it caused a lot of upset in the dwarf community, including Warwick Davis. Jimmy Carr is, of course, no stranger to such controversy.
If you're a dwarf and you're offended by that, grow up.
Number 7, assault and battery. One of the most recent occurrences in this list, and another example of the complicated issue regarding freedom of speech. Joe Brand made a joke about Nigel Farage after he was hit by a milkshake. Brand suggested a better alternative.
Why bother with a milkshake when you could get some battery acid?
It might not be the wittiest joke, but it definitely upset Farage, resulting in the police investigating. They maintained it was just a joke, but Brand decided to apologize rather than drag it out. Was she wrong to make that kind of joke, or do Farage's actions have larger implications on what we are allowed to say? Jury's still out.
Anything to say to Nigel Farage?
No.
Number 6, Pedogeddon. The brilliant series Brass Eye was also no stranger to controversial humour, as well as being seriously funny, but this special episode upset quite a few people.
Why can we no longer think of the British Isles without the word pedo in front of them?
In fact, you could probably fill an entire list with the jokes contained within, as the whole episode is full of controversial material about paedophilia, like the rap song Little White Butt, as well as the notion of a child being locked in a spaceship with a child molester.
A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
This all happened at a time when the issue was red hot and had millions worried and upset.
Security footage of a paedophile disguised as a school. He's been getting away with it in Sheffield for 12 years.
Number 5, Amputee Veterans. Hey, it's Jimmy Carr again. Who knew he had such a filthy mouth? After making a joke about war veterans, he caused more than a little outrage amongst the tabloids, soldiers, and their families. Carr suggested that the next batch of victims who had lost their limbs to the war would make for a fantastic team in the next Paralympics.
He told the audience, "Say what you like about the servicemen amputees from Iraq and Afghanistan, but we're going to have a good Paralympic team in 2012.
Was there a valid and satirical point being made, or was it just shock for shock's sake? Either way, many believe that making light of young men and women being imminently harmed seems in very poor taste.
It's a minefield, this. Which ironically is probably how some of them got there.
Number 4, Harvey Price. It won't come as a surprise for most to see Frankie Boyle on this list. Frankie kicked off this feud with Katie Price when he made a joke about Katie fighting for custody of Harvey and who would keep him, except it wasn't that mildly put.
Apparently Jordan and Peter Andre are fighting each other over custody of Harvey. Although eventually one of them will lose and have to keep him.
Some decried, saying it was more than a little insensitive, considering everything Harvey has to contend with. However, Boyle has stated that he intended the joke to be satire of how he felt Price was exploiting her son's conditions for fame.
Frankie Boyle is not a man, he is a mouse.
Number 3, gagging for what now? Dapper Laughs has always been a controversial act, his humour tending to appeal to a more laddish niche that borders on the side of homophobic and misogynistic for most. However, in one case, whilst on stage, Dapper made a joke about how a woman in the audience was gagging for a rape.
Gagging for a rape.
This was a step too far for most and resulted in an online petition for ITV to cancel Laugh's show. It worked too. He seemed to vanish overnight, although recently he has resurrected his persona, but seems to be confined to the likes of Celebrity Big Brother.
I lost everything. I lost that. I lost a six-figure sum within two days later on a almost like a 80% sold out tour.
Number 2, Norman Lamont. Julian Clary is no stranger to making a few rude double entendres. However, when he went on primetime TV and made this joke about performing a lewd act on Tory MP Norman Lamont, it caused quite a stir.
As a matter of fact, I've just been fisting Norman Lamont.
Don't forget, this was in 1993. England was far more conservative. South Park and Brass Eye were still yet to happen. Even now, making jokes about this kind of thing is still quite controversial outside of appropriate shows and context. Clary was banned from performing on live TV as a result.
I mean, it's a remarkable thing, isn't it? You make an off-the-cuff remark in 1993, and here we are 19 years later, having to talk about it.
Number 1, prank call. This one left a nation divided. Regardless of whether you found it funny or not, or even if the outraged folk may have overreacted, there's no denying this simple prank phone call backfired and went nuclear. If you're unfamiliar, which doesn't seem likely as this story took forever to die, Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross made a prank call live on radio and told Fawlty Towers actor Andrew Sachs quite bluntly that Brand had slept with his granddaughter.
His granddaughter!
Who amongst you would want to receive that call?
BBC's highest paid presenter, Jonathan Ross, has been suspended without pay for 12 weeks.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.